If your IUL is structured incorrectly, you will miss out on thousands of dollars. In this educational episode, I'm going to address why do you want an IUL insider to design your IUL correctly. So get ready. You may not even know that there's such a designation or organization. Yeah, there is. I oversee them. They are called IUL insiders. And I would strongly recommend that if you're going to have an IUL policy structured, that you seek out an insider to do it for you so you do not miss out on thousands of dollars. I'll explain why next. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for just about 5 decades, helping people optimize assets, minimize taxes, empower their authentic wealth. I have a 3-dimensional approach shown here. But many times, as I have trained now over 5,000 agents, I've noticed that those agents that come in, they're learning how to structure IUL correctly. Because at one point back in 2005, Time Warner, my publisher of my first 4 books, Misfortune 101, estimated that there were about 50,000 advisors that were buying my books in bulk by the case of 20. And they were passing them out like loose cannons, tearing out certain pages and whatever, and saying, okay, well, don't do that, do this. And they were really ruining an incredible instrument. And it really made me sad when I would meet people and they had had their IUL policies for 2, 3, 4 years, and I would take one look at it in less than 30 seconds. I would go, oh man, who designed this for you? And they said, well, it was our nephew or my brother-in-law. They had an insurance license. And I go, oh, golly, that was an expensive relationship. You've missed out on about $250,000 you could have had. Instead of earning in the last few years 11% and netting 10%, you have only been grossing about 9 and netting about 4 because they had way more insurance in here than you needed. I don't know who designed this, but I really feel bad for you because you've missed out on thousands of dollars. I hated to tell people that. And so they had to start over again, and I had to sort of correct or get them out of that trap and correct it. But they wasted several years of growth, and it really upset me. So when you go to an IUL insider, they will understand very thoroughly. And in my book, Laser Fund, there are about 13 questions you should ask a producer, an IUL agent. And if they don't know the answers to those questions off the cuff, that should be a red flag, okay? But basically, the members of the IUL Insider Network, they are taught how to structure these IUL contracts correctly so they perform like an incredible tax-free cash cow. There's 3 sections of the Internal Revenue Code that they must understand. Section 72E talks about how money accumulates tax-free inside of an insurance contract, but you have to be compliant with the TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA tax citations passed in 1982, 1984, and 1988. This allows money to accumulate tax-free, and then 7702 gives you the parameters in which you can access money income tax-free or turn on tax-free income, so that every $1 million of cash value that you might accumulate can generate, $80, $90, or $100,000 a year of tax-free income for as long as you live. Section 101A is about, at the end of the day, when you pass away, anything left in the policy will blossom, increase in value, and transfer income tax-free. Now, nothing else does that in the Internal Revenue Code. Allows you to accumulate money tax-free, access it tax-free, and when you die, it blossoms and transfers tax-free. I've asked many CPAs and tax attorneys that I teach in advanced continuing education, show me any other financial instrument that does that, and they've yet to come up with one. Now, these IUL insiders are trained thoroughly on the TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA tax citations. I don't need to go into detail. I have other episodes here that'll teach you about these. But these two dictate the minimum amount of insurance that must be attached to the account in order for it to accommodate the amount of money that you want to put into it or reposition or save for your future. So many times people would come to me and they wanted to optimize underperforming or non-performing assets. They wanted to sell a rental property they were sick and tired of being the landlord, and they wanted a place to put that money when they sold it. Or maybe they wanted to roll money out of an IRA or 401k, and they needed to do it strategically and put it into an IUL policy. They might have money in banks or credit unions earning pathetic rates of return, and they want to increase the rate of return. And bypass the middleman, because insurance companies are where banks and credit unions invest 30 to 40% of their tier one assets for liquidity and safety, okay? Once people understand and learn this, they want something like this, but you're doing the opposite. You're taking the least amount of insurance under TEFRA and DEFRA that you can get away with, and you're going to put in the most money that the IRS allows. You're going to use it for living benefits. You want to be self-insured within maybe 12 years. TAMRA dictates how fast you can fund it without violating the tax-free access. If you violate TAMRA, then it'll only grow tax deferred. And so we talk about TAMRA, and so I've often used this metaphor of a bucket. If you read the book I'm going to gift you at the end of this episode, you'll see this metaphor. So this bucket is a repository. We're going to call it an IUL policy, where you're designing it to accommodate the amount of money that you want to put into it. You don't have to put that much in, but you can't put in more than that, okay? All of the interest on this will be totally income tax free if you adhere to TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA. TEFRA and DEFRA says that if you're a male age 60, yeah, you could buy a whole bunch of life insurance for $500,000, and you don't have to put in $500,000 all at once. I'm just saying that's the total you're going to put in the next 5 years, or the next 20 years, or the next 30 years, or whatever. So that is what's called the guideline single premium. Now, you could buy a lot of insurance with that much money. That's not the objective. The least amount of insurance is about double what you're going to put in there, or $1 million. But see, an IUL insider understands that you only take the amount of insurance you need. Too many agents put way more insurance than you need, and so the spigot on the bucket, which is the cost of the insurance that the IRS says has to be there, or it will not be tax-free, that has to not exceed the definition of life insurance under those 3 sections of the code I mentioned. And so, but you want that spigot as small as possible, and you want it to get smaller as you get older. Now, have you ever seen an insurance policy that gets cheaper as you get older? Well, then you haven't seen an IUL policy structured correctly. They get cheaper as you get older, and you're self-insured many times within 12 years. Let me give you an example. So if I was designing this for a 60-year-old male that wanted to put in $500,000, they can't put in all $500,000 in one fell swoop because of TAMRA. I have to divide it up in about 5 installments. The most I could put in would be about 20% of that, maybe $100,000 the first day of the first year, another $100,000 the first day of the next year. I don't have to put that much in, but if you're wanting to fill it up as fast as possible, your money will grow quicker. Then the 3rd year, the 4th year, but in the 5th year, actually the first day of the 5th year, which technically is 4 years and 1 day into it, you've complied with TAMRA. Now this $500,000 is in there, and it's been earning interest while it's been getting filled up, but the money you ever generate out of this will be tax-free forever after. You're grandfathered. Now, here is what a lot of agents don't understand. When you put in this $500,000, when you're going to fund it that quick in 5 or 10 years, you use the level death benefit. So many agents are told, no, you use the increasing death benefit. They say level's the devil. They don't even know what they're talking about. See, you only use increasing death benefit when you're putting in monthly premiums, and as soon as you stop funding it, you switch to the level death benefit because you want that spigot to get smaller as you get older. Most of my clients, if they came in and put in $500,000, let's say, in that 5 years or 4 years and 1 day, now that $500,000 is actually part of the $1 million that's paid out when you die. So the actual death benefit is still $1 million. Yeah, you could have had it added on top. That's not what you want to do if you're wanting to get a good rate of return on $500,000. So the $500,000 is part of the $1 million. The insurance company is only going to charge you, the spigot on the bucket is only going to be on the remaining $500,000 that's at risk. Because if you die, 500,000 of the million is your own money. So they only charge you for the net amount at risk. So far, so good. If this 500,000 earns the rate of return that I have for the past, since 1980, even before indexed universal life came out, I've earned an average of 9.62. Rounding that down to 9.6, divided into the rule of 72, your money doubles every 7.5 years. We have had many clients who started out with $500,000, and that $500,000 doubles to $1 million in 7.5 years. In this example, that might be in the 12th year. They now have $1 million of cash. Well, that was the original death benefit. They're now self-insured. This is like buying term and investing the difference on steroid. You're self-insured. There is no cost for the insurance, but from that point forward, if you happen to die, the insurance company will pay 5% more than your cash. So if you died and you had $1 million in there, they'd pay out $1,050,000, and that's under TEFRA and DEFRA. But they're only charging you for the remaining $50,000 of insurance benefit, and the cost of that insurance is so minuscule compared to the interest you're earning on $1 million. That spigot on the bucket is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as you get older. When $1 million doubles to $2 million, okay? That's all your money, and if you die, it leaves behind $2.1 million. But they're only charging you for $100,000 of insurance. The interest you're earning on $2 million dwarfs the cost of the insurance. That's why, as you get down the road, in the 25th and 30th year, if I earn 11, I net 10.9 in that year because the cost of the insurance is so small. Retroactive back to day one, if over a 30-year period, if you averaged 11.17 like I have, you should net 10.07. You should net within 1% rate of return retroactive back to the first day. So folks, this is explained. Some common misconceptions about IUL is that the insurance policy will implode. It's going to crash and burn as you get older. That's because people don't understand. Agents don't understand what I just explained to you. Another myth is that level is the devil. No, it isn't. If you're going to use it for living benefits and you're going to fund it within 5 or 10 years, that will knock the socks off of any other method because you're going to be self-insured. Another is that the indexed universal life is simply a permanent life insurance policy that invests your money in an index mutual fund. No, that means you would have lost 40% in 2008. No, I don't lose when the market goes down because indexing is a strategy. Also, when using the banking concept, if you've ever heard of that, becoming your own banker, that whole life insurance is superior. Whole life insurance, you're hoping to get maybe a 2-point spread. With indexed universal life, I have had people borrow money out of their policy at 5% and get credited 25% on the money they left in the policy as collateral. They have been making money hand over fist using the banking concept with IUL. You know, this whole thing about filling up that bucket in accordance with TAMRA, it would be like the IRS saying, hey, if you build a 5-story building and if you just rent out the first floor the first year and then the second floor the next year and so forth, if you'll just do that, by the end of 4 years and 1 day, you can rent out the whole building, but all of your rental income forever after will be totally income tax free. I would do that. Do the math. That is the TAMRA law, and you can't believe how many insurance agents don't understand that. They think maybe you have to spread it out over 7 years because they don't understand that the 7-pay test does not apply to universal life. It's the TAMRA, okay? And so IUL indexing, if you're not aware, that a good agent will diversify. So you'll miss out on thousands of dollars. A good IUL producer might allocate 40% to a 1-year high cap, okay? 40% in a 2-year and 20% in a 5-year. Why? Because you're going to increase the average return to 11.3 based on most 20-year periods. When you have a downturn in the market, you flip over and maybe put 50% in a 2-year and 50% in a 5-year because the average return for a 20-year period jumps up to 14%. You wouldn't believe how many IUL agents don't even understand how to diversify and rebalance their clients' portfolios. I could go on and on with multipliers and 1-year point-to-point with no caps, but IUL Insiders is designed to teach agents how to do it correctly. Otherwise, their clients will miss out on thousands of dollars. These are the kinds of statements you want to diversify so that you can see returns of 14.89, 10.25, 15.07, 8%, and 13%. That's what you want to see instead of pathetic returns down around the 3, 4, or 5% range. That's what you get when you take out an IUL policy with someone who knows what they're doing. So if you would like to learn more about this yourself, and when you read this book, you might know more than 99% of IUL agents out there. There is a list in here you can ask an agent, and if they don't know the answers to those 13 questions off the cuff, that's a red flag. I would recommend you search out an IUL professional, somebody who belongs to the inside, okay? And so here's how you can claim your free copy of this 300-page book. If you go to Amazon, it's $20 and you pay another $10 shipping and handling. If you do, thank you. But I'll let you claim a free copy of this 300-page book by going to laserfund.com, laserfund.com. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, and I'll pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy to you. While you're in there, check out if you like to listen and learn, watch and learn. There's educational webinars we do on a regular basis. They're free. You can even schedule an appointment with an IUL professional that knows how to do it correctly so that you can see illustrations done the right way. But this is about you and your brighter future. So make sure you seek out somebody who is a professional. Those that belong to IUL Insiders, I assure you, they know what they're doing.